The Midwest, home sweet home in good old Indiana. Place of small towns, cozy families gathered together, and fields of corn and rustic woods. But, like any town, there is a dark underbelly that often goes unnoted. We are part of that darkness. We lurk in the shadows to bring you the best in horror, metal, and stories of the grotesque. This is Blood in the Cornfields.
All right, welcome in, cellar dwellers. I am Mark.
I'm Ivy.
And we are Blood in the Cornfields.
You already know.
That's right. Hope everyone's doing great. We got another episode for y'all. So
yeah, actually really excited about this. We're excited about all of them.
Excited about all of them.
But, you know, we're interviewing another really cool film director.
Yes.
He had two short films screened at the Riverbend Film Festival. We are excited to introduce them to you because it is fucking amazing.
Yes, and for me, I know I was really excited to kind of like dive in and ask some of these questions because, like, you know, that's all that I saw was the two, and it's just like I wanted to know more. Are there other projects? Are we doing a full length? That sort of stuff. So you'll hear, you know, questions that we have, but I'm excited to definitely ask those.
Yeah, absolutely. But first.
Oh, yes. What's new in Horrorland? We have it set up. You go first.
Okay, well, I will go first. Mark, you are going to be at Fright Night this weekend.
Yes. Vending at Fright Night. So it's going to be in Kendallville. Should be a great time all around. Looks like the weather's not going to be bad. My understanding, there's going to be food. There's going to be performers. There's going to be vendors, merchants, all sorts of stuff. Should be a great night. Any questions you have, message me on Instagram if you want. Or Arkham City Oddities, because I'm basically just going to pass your message along to them. Yeah, it should be great. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just basically Main Street on Kendallville. It's like lots of shit going on. They have like a vampire queen.
Yeah.
A contest.
Yes,
which is pretty cool.
Costume contest. Oh, and I probably should tell these fucking people, these little fuckers, when it starts. 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. And it's probably going to go to like 8 or 9, I think.
I was going to say it lasted pretty much all night. Looks like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. They also got fire dancers that'll be there, belly dancers, costume contest, besides just the vampire queen thing, which is really cool.
Jeeper Creepers eye toss game.
Ha! That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So lots of fun things involved. I will be there. If you see me, come say hi. But yeah, it's going to be a fun night all around. So I'm totally looking forward to this one.
Looks like they got the killer clowns walking around too, which sounds like fun.
Yeah,
they got everything.
I know. Like I'm just like, should I do something weird? I don't know. You know, but no, I can't. I gotta.
You could dress up if you wanted to.
Who knows?
Either way, you guys should go hang out because it would be a good time.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so other news in horror is going to be, if you don't know me already, I'm a big fucking fan of the Gremlins. And, you know, I'm going to say this because one of my favorite YouTubers also said this, who's also a gigantic Gremlins fan. Beetlejuice, you had your time to shine. Let the Gremlins take over now.
Move aside.
Yeah, so.
And great to watch around Christmas time.
Gremlins is the perfect Christmas movie. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Yes, absolutely.
But Gremlins actually has a cartoon show on HBO Max.
I did not know this.
And it's really fucking good. It's called The Secret of the Mogwai. At least that's the first season. And awesome. It takes place back when the older man, the Chinese guy, was a little kid.
Oh.
Yeah, it takes place like in the 30s, kind of 40s era of China.
Cool.
And it's really cool. It's got like a lot of magic stuff involved, more so than like... Because like in the films, magic really doesn't happen in the films in either the first or second one. This one focuses on the fact that these Mogwai are like demon creatures and they come from like a long history of Chinese magic.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's really neat. And they also introduce like folklore, like Chinese folklore in the thing, which I think is even better. Like that's cool. We don't get to see that very often. And then season 2 just came out called The Wild Batch. And it looks like we might get Evil Gizmo.
Okay, that'd be cool.
From the trailers, it looks cool. I'm really excited. I still haven't finished season 1, mostly just because whenever I try to watch it, son would be like, nope, not right now. But he's starting to get more and more into Gremlins right now. We just showed him the original movie.
Yeah.
And he loves it.
Yeah.
He loved it. He asked for more Gizmo.
Who wouldn't? It's got everything. Bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. And also just a little bit of like news for like my family. But Luke got a very fantastic tattoo done recently. It's not horror based, but it was a memorial tattoo for Chris, Luke's father, who passed away recently. And she did a fucking fantastic job. It is literally a recreation of one of Chris's artwork.
Oh, sweet.
And it looks absolutely incredible.
That's cool.
But she did a wonderful job. Her name's Hannah Minix. Hannah Minix.
Okay.
She actually has a tattoo parlor right downtown in Goshen. And she is doing an awesome sale right now. If you guys are tattoo junkies, you guys need to go check her out, because right now she is doing basically half off of horror portraits for the entire month of October.
Ugh.
Dude, email her.
If I wasn't poor.
She does a fucking phenomenal job. Just check out her Instagram. She's got a lot going on. She's a really incredible artist. She can do fine lines like nobody's business. And just browse through there. She does a really fucking great job.
Sweet. And of course, we'll put her info down in the bottom as well too.
Absolutely.
So for me, I recently watched Hold Your Breath.
Oh, yes. What was that streaming on again?
Hulu. So it's on Hulu. It's exclusive to Hulu.
Hulu has everything. They have Huluween.
They do. It is part of that. Not going to give away, spoilers, obviously. I will kind of say that I need to watch it a second time.
Mm-hmm. What's it about even?
So it's about, so Sarah is a mom and she has 2 daughters. She had 3, but 1 passed away. And they're living in a drought in Oklahoma or something. I don't know.
Is it like a throwback piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like pioneer-y time.
Okay.
And so, there's dust storms constantly. Mm-hmm. And she tells the tale of, and I believe it's a book that she read, if I remember right, of the gray man and how he can be in the air and you can suck him in and he almost takes possession of you.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. So the reason why I kind of want to watch it again is because I watched it during the day. Mm-hmm. And one of my biggest pet peeves is movies that consistently have very dark scenery.
Oh my God. I'm so fucking tired of that bullshit. That pisses me right the fuck off.
Yeah. And I was in the electronics field. So my TV's top notch. And my bedroom has a window directly across from it.
Oh, damn.
So I just was kind of half tuned out because I was just annoyed because there were so many dark scenes that I kind of mentally gave up on the movie. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to rate it. Y'all can check it out. I will say that it is worth watching. It's not an absolute clunker. It's not something I would say, don't waste your time or anything. Mm-hmm. So if some of you out there watch it, I would love to have a discussion and see what y'all think. So Hold Your Breath has Sarah Paulson from American Horror Story. She does a great job from everything that I had seen. So definitely kind of, talk about that. The next thing I want to talk about is Joker 2. I'm not even going to say it because I don't speak French.
Oh, it's Folie à Deux.
Sure. So it has been getting just slammed.
With bad reviews.
Yeah. But then also, I just saw that it opened up first weekend at only $40 million. Mm-hmm. And it's my understanding that they had a budget of $200 million. So they're a little upside down to start with.
Yeah.
They're not quite turning a profit yet, which makes me so mad because the first Joker...
Mm-hmm. It's great. It's
an
good.
Outstanding movie. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't quite give it perfect grades. And I was thinking of this the other day. I was in my opinion, there's only 3 films that get a perfect grade from me. One of them's not even horror, and you would never guess it.
That's cool. Let's hear them.
Oh, you want to go into that?
Okay. I want to know.
So first one is my movie that gets scored the best and the greatest is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original first one.
That's fair.
So many film directors, even Tarantino has called it perfect. It's one of his perfect movies. And it is. with what they did with what they had. And even I was kind of watching some people talk about it, but even the veracity that Leatherface closes the door with, like, gives you the impression that, like, he's done this before.
Right.
Like, and he's just, you know, visceral and angry. Even stuff like that, just, I mean, that's a perfect fucking movie. Of course, I'm going to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is a perfect movie because that movie just fucking knocks it out of the park. That's no news to y'all. But the other movie that will surprise a lot of you is my other perfect movie, literally flawless, Last of the Mohicans.
Wow, okay, I would have never guessed that at all.
The soundtrack and score, fucking phenomenal. How they mix the love story intertwined with it, and of course Daniel Day-Lewis, one of the best actors of our generation. It is a movie that will make you feel emotion, but on different levels. Yeah, and different dynamics, multiple through the movie. Normally, there's one love story, or there's one, you know, oh my goodness, I feel emotion, and it's like one direction. This movie is not. It's multiple directions. And if you've seen it and you know at the end what other directions it takes, it is fucking phenomenal.
Where was the first time that you ever saw that movie?
First time I saw Last of the Mohicans, man, I don't know. It was not in theaters, but it was shortly after it came out.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, for me, the soundtrack is what initially drew me into that.
I'm just curious. The reason why I asked is because, like, the first time I ever even heard of that movie was it happened to be like something that we had to watch for school.
Oh, jeez, hell yeah, I'd watch that for school.
I had no idea what it was. We just, like, the teacher that I had at the time just put it in, and because we had like a course study on the Mohicans, and I was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I mean, just everything about it was legit. The acting is legit. The storytelling is legit. The fight scenes are legit. Like, just the ending. Oh my goodness. Like, to me, there's an emotional scene, but within the fight scene itself, the emotion carries in the fight scene to crescendo at the next point after the fight scene. And it's just, I mean, it's fucking flawless. I mean, those are my three movies. Obviously, I'm going to put Texas 2, but in a overall film, there's really only two flawless movies for me, and that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Last Mohicans. They're just, I mean, you cannot pick those apart. Neither of them. If you do, I can't even say. Yeah, those are my two.
That's cool, though. I like hearing that, because I'm just like, that's so unique. That's so... Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. I was genuinely curious.
Learning a little bit about me. So yeah. We'll go back into some of the other current events, because, you know, if I'm talking, there's a good chance I'm going to get sidetracked. So Maxine now is out on media.
Yes, just got it. Just got our copy.
Yep. So we can settle officially the debate, because
it's on physical media.
First, and it's weird because I think me and Luke both ended up being right, because I don't think they were going to put it on media, because if you look at it, it's now coming out when it was out before Longlegs. So Longlegs was released on physical media before Maxine. But Maxine was in theaters a whole month and a half before Longlegs, maybe even 2 months.
Yeah.
So it took them longer, and I don't know why.
You know what? Here's the thing.
And it was hard to find information on it.
Here's the thing, mini rant. I do not understand why. My mind is still having a hard time trying to compute the fact that, like, you can fucking have a movie out in the movie theaters literally maybe not a week, but a month from now, boom, it's on physical media. That did never happen back in the 90s.
No.
It would take months. We would have to wait for the fucking movie to come out.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. It was the anticipation of waiting for your movie to come out. Hell, take it back a little further from the 80s. You had to wait a half a year until that goddamn thing came out. Or, you know, you had to rent it from the store. Yeah. And then you could watch it again. But it was a whole thing, because if it was a new movie back in the 80s and kind of some early 90s.
First of all, it would have a cool cover.
It would have a fucking great cover.
Way better than what they do nowadays.
Yeah. I'm getting so fucking tired of floating heads. I'm getting fucking tired of that. But like you could have, like, you would have to wait in fucking line until you got that movie that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
Because there would be like a whole fuck ton of people ahead of you, and depending on the video store, they only had like 1 or 2 copies.
Yeah, and like with renting, because you'd want to get there, and then it was the anticipation of going and finding it and trying to grab that tag and being like, oh my gosh, is it there? Is it not going to be? Is it there? Like, people won't ever experience that, and I think that's ridiculous because
I hate that.
That's part of the fandom of it. And then it's like, a lot of good movies were found because the one you wanted to see was out. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
because you're going to watch something else.
Yeah.
So you go look at other stuff and you find something that's in. A lot of good movies were watched by me because of that. I know it.
Yeah.
Because it's like I never left the video store with not getting a movie.
Yeah.
If I was going there to get a movie and it was out, I got something else. And then that's when it became fun to really look at the covers, read the backs, because there was no
of course. I love reading the backs because sometimes it's just kind of fun to hear like, or to like read what the fuck they were going to describe, how they were going to describe it. And then you're like, oh, that sounds intriguing. The movie's shit. Or it was really fucking good. And they'd had a terrible whatever was written up about it.
There's some gems. So I agree with you on the physical media. Of course, I mean, we are big proprietors of that for sure.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I like I said, mini ran over, but it's just bizarre to me that this is where we're at now. And that like our next generation will never understand just that anticipation. I mean, hell, even smaller mini rant. Hell, just even having something go up on not physical media, but on streaming services. Cool, I can add it to my watch list, but then it might be gone by the time I want to go watch it.
Yeah, because they do expire.
Yeah, that's stupid. I don't like that. Like, you could just have fucking physical media. You watch it any goddamn time you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to wait until, like, some bullshit until it's back up. That's what happened with Gremlins. Like, I looked at that. It's on HBO Max now, and I'm sure it's going to be out for Christmas, too, because they know their fandom.
They will.
But then, like, if I want to watch it, like, because Halloween never ends for us.
No.
If I want to watch it, like, halfway in the middle of summer, I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm lucky on Tubi, but other times it's like, nope.
So we'll reel the rant in. Enough of that. But,
sorry about that.
That's all right. We'll get back on point. So the next topic is something interesting too that hopefully a lot of you know about and are excited about. Terrifier 3 is going to be out
this week, right?
Yes. By the time that you hear this, it'll be out. Love-hate relationship with Terrifier 3. So I liked 1, thought it was really good. Didn't like 2 really much at all. So I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going to think for 3. I'm open to it. I certainly don't like Terrifier as much as my equals or my, cohorts or whatever you want to call it, fellow spookies.
You other cellar dwellers out there.
All the other cellar dwellers tend to like it a bit more than me. Mm-hmm. I like it, but I'm not going to merch out on it.
I'm honestly right there with you. I mean, call me an old fuddy-duddy or an old horror.
You old gore whore.
That's it. I don't know. Art doesn't do it for me. And I fucking love clowns.
Yeah.
But I like the first one a lot. And I like All Hallows Eve?
Yeah.
I thought that one was good too. But quite honestly, I'm about done. I'm spent with him. I think he got big too fast.
Yeah,
I think Art the Clown just got way too big, way too quick, and I'm like kind of repulsed by it. I'm like, no, I liked it better when he was not very well known. Thank you.
So my theory on Terrifier is it was an interesting character in All Hallows Eve. So he's like, yeah, fuck it, let's make a movie focused around him, and let's put some gore in it, and it just like took off like a rocket. So then he's like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting to do another one. Let's do another one. Yeah. But what do we do for a storyline for a character that has no story, does not talk, doesn't do anything but kill? Like, where do we go from that? And I just feel that 2 was a money grab and a struggle to just like, let's put legit storyline behind it, and it got fucking weird. And then I just think 3 is capitalizing on killing and trying to gore the hell out of the film. And I think it's just, that's what it's going to be about, is we're just trying to gore, and there's not going to be much else substance to it.
And not to mention, I do like where they're going as far as like they're doing the whole Christmas evil thing. I think that's cool. I need more horror, horror Christmas movies. That's fine because I hate Christmas as is.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, give me more horror. But like, this is just, I don't know. I like that angle of it, but I just don't know because it's the Terrifier character is Art. I don't know if I'm going to like it at all.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just repulsed by his popularity. I'm just like, get out of here. You're too popular.
So, I mean, we'll find out. My bet is that it's a money grab. It's trying to be over the top gore to get attention, to gross people out, but then there's not much substance behind it. That's my prediction. I guess we'll find out if I'm wrong. You can hold me to it. But then moving things right along, because I know we do have our guest. Teacup is an interesting horror series on Peacock.
Oh, okay.
It has one of the lead characters, the wife of the mayor in The Handmaid's Tale, or whatever, the
Maggie
governor.
Chenoweth or something like that.
Yeah, the governor, I think is what they were called, or whatever. Great actress, loved her in The Handmaid's Tale, so I'm excited to see this. And from my understanding, it's they're in a rural farmland, and they have to like kind of group together and band together to fight some sort of evil or unknown or mystery thing or something.
See, I want to know why it's called Teacup, first off. And then second, everybody's got like the fucking like air masks or like the like Chernobyl looking masks.
So in the preview, the only thing that I saw that was Teacup related, because I was thinking that myself, is mom is talking to daughter and she catches some sort of bug in a teacup against the window.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then that's the only reference to a teacup that I saw in the preview. So I'm wondering if there's something else behind that. So
is that a metaphor? Is that like a metaphor for maybe, like they're trapped under like this whatever the fuck's going on?
Sure.
Like The Fly?
Or maybe it's where the story takes off. You don't know?
In a teacup?
I don't know. No, like the significance of that bug.
Oh, okay, the bug.
In the teacup, maybe something.
Gotcha.
Or maybe right after they have an interaction, a bomb drops or something. I don't know.
Okay. I get you.
Something to add significance to the teacup. So we'll see. But yeah, that's going to be on Peacock. I'm excited. It's in my little list of things to watch, definitely. I think that's a good amount of current events. So let's rip into this bitch and get our guest and let's get going.
Hey, spooky parents. We want to help promote an awesome alternative clothing brand from the Midwest made just for you ghouls. It's Feral Mama. The brand was started by Gretchen, a mother of 4 living in Cleveland, Ohio, who is a trained doula and has a passion for supporting motherhood and other mothers who are struggling with mental illness, postpartum depression, and mothers who are struggling to find a support group for other alternative mothers. Since she started her business, she has found an awesome community that has supported her through thick and thin. We support her on this mission as parents ourselves. Feral Mama has lots of comfy t-shirts with spooky designs for mostly mamas, but also some unisex options are available for any of you papas or caregivers out there. She also sells kids shirts from time to time, as well as hoodies, crew neck, long sleeve shirts, patches, pins, mugs, and some other really cute bags. You can use my code OscureIvy to get 10% off your first order using the link in the description on our Instagram or even on our YouTube, feralmamashop.com/OscureIvy. That's feralmamashop.com/OscureIvy. By supporting her, you will also be helping us continue to do what we do. It can take anywhere between 14 to 21 business days to receive your order, but remember, she is only one person. So go support your local Feral Mama today. Remember to support small businesses, women, and of course, badass mamas everywhere.
All right, welcome in, Cellar Dwellers.
Hi, everybody.
We are live here in the flesh again. Yeah. I am Mark.
I'm Ivy.
Yep, and we have a guest with us.
A very special guest.
Yes, absolutely. Do tell our audience a little bit about you, who you are, and what exactly you're doing here.
Yeah, so thank you guys for having me. My name is Michael Gabriele. I live in Los Angeles, and I'm a filmmaker. I love making a lot of different types of films, but I think I'm here specifically to chat about some horror short films that I've done recently. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we saw, or at least I got a chance to see him with my husband.
Well, yeah, I saw the films.
Yeah.
I thought you meant it was playing at somewhere specific, and I didn't see them at what you were saying, but I have seen the shorts.
You have seen the shorts.
Yes, I saw the shorts.
You didn't see them at the
festival.
At the film festival.
No, I did not.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But it was awesome to see on the big screen. Especially, like I was telling you before, Getaway looked amazing up on that screen. We'll get into that later, but I have some things that I need to geek out about when we get to it.
Sure. Love it. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So when the film festival, the Riverbend Film Festival, was held here in Goshen, ahead of time we were asked to be programmers. My husband and I were, so we got to view the films ahead of time. And I noticed on your forum that you had mentioned that the filming took place in Chicago for some of these. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my short film Room Tone was filmed in Chicago. So I have a lot of ties to Chicago. I would say I've spent my formative years in Chicago mainly. I mean, I've only been here in Los Angeles for about 6 or 7 years now, but like I spent a good like 20 years in Chicago, sort of like, cutting my teeth and sort of working my way up there.
Oh,
Sweet.
that's cool. Are you originally from the Midwest, or are you from Los Angeles?
No, so I'm originally from Montreal, from Canada, so I'm Canadian.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, when I was, I think it was like 10 or 11, my dad got a job transfer. We moved a family over to Chicago, and I've just pretty much, like I said, spent my formative years there, going to high school and then college in Illinois. And then after that, I moved to the city of Chicago, and that's where I started working. I started my career in commercials. I did commercial work. So I was an ad agency producer for a few years, and then after that I became a director, so directing commercials. And sort of my move to LA sort of coincided with, my trying to break into the narrative space, which right now, like the horror stuff is the stuff I enjoy the most. So I'm doing most of that right now.
That's so cool.
So where did your love of film and filmmaking come from?
So I want to sort of bring it back to maybe this video that I saw. So like my dad directed this film, shot and directed this film a long, long time ago. I'll say a long, long time ago. I mean, when he was like before I was born, with his friends, right? They shot it on 8mm, and it was like this like kind of funny spy film that he did with the family. Like a lot of my aunts and uncles were in it too. And to me, like watching that, I thought it was so cool because it's like, oh, here are all these people that I know, and they're like stars in this little movie. I mean, it was a short thing. It was maybe like 15, 20 minutes, but I always really enjoyed it, and I thought it was kind of cool. That's, I think, what sort of started the excitement for me. I mean, my dad really didn't do any other films after that. He's like a business guy. So, he's a sales guy. So he, but he does have like he is creative. And after making, after making this movie, and me sort of watching it as a kid, I think I sort of realized that, oh, this is something you can do, and so, honestly, like, I think it all started when, I was, every time you go on vacations, every family would have their like old camcorder, right? And
sure.
so I would have this like little camcorder, and I would film as a kid. And that sort of started that way. And then from there I was like, well, maybe I can film my own stories. And I just started, and I didn't stop,
That's awesome.
And then what film directors or filmmakers have inspired you?
You know what? That's a great question. I mean, I think there's a few. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, in terms of inspiration, I think, Christopher Nolan's work has always been really exciting to me. I really love that style, the style of filmmaking. I think as a filmmaker myself, I'm very much into like content that is very like audience focused, like my horror isn't like too intense. It's like, I call it popcorn horror, which is like something that will be enjoyed and exciting for viewers. So I've always enjoyed Christopher Nolan's work because I feel like, I mean, even though it's not like quite all horror, but there's just everything moves quick and it's all exciting, and it, twists and turns all over the place. So that's what I would say right now.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really neat. Now, did you end up going to film school? And did you have, and it sounds like you must have had a supportive family with your dad, just kind of supporting your dream as well as kind of inspiring you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my parents have always been very supportive of it. Like when I first started doing that, like, they had like bought me like the first Premiere Pro on the computer, because I was like, before that I was just editing like VHS to like from the camcorder to VHS stop and like that old thing. right?
That's cool though.
And so from there they like brought me the first like non-linear editor, like Premiere Pro. So that was huge in me sort of like learning that, and they would like, they got me a camera to get started. Like they've been super supportive, but I never really went to film school. When I was making short films just for fun through high school with my friends, but when I was graduating, I don't know, at the time I felt like it wasn't like a stable business or whatever. Like my young mind thought like, oh, I couldn't really make a career in this. So I decided to do something that I'd major in something that I was also interested in. So I majored in environmental studies and anthropology.
Wow.
Which is completely different, right?
Completely different, but all right.
Yeah, whatever, and so coming on but all the while studying for stuff, like all my free time in college, I started a film club and was just making films with friends. We would do like little like screenings, like festivals and stuff, but we would just have just kind of learning together and trying to do the best we could and learning from our mistakes and being supports to each other. And when I graduated when I graduated college, I was like, I don't want to do environmental studies or anthropology. I'm like, this stuff is boring to me. So I was like, well, I have all these films that I've done, and I thought, well, let me just try and take all my stuff that I've done, like make like a reel and just send it out to people. And at the time I was like, well, I'm not going to go to LA. Like I didn't have, I think, the guts to go to LA at that point. So I was like, well, I'm in Chicago. They have ad agencies in Chicago. So let me just send this to every ad agency and post-production house that I can find on a list. And I did, just package in the mail. Here's my reel and here's a little bit about me. And I got lucky, got a foot in the door, which got me an internship, which got me another internship, which eventually got me a job as an agency producer. And that's how I sort of worked my way up. But I think I come from a very sort of like do-it-yourself sort of grassroots thing. Like I've had to just, before, when I first started this, it's not like any of my friends were like filmmakers as well. It was always just me that was interested in filmmaking. Everyone was just kind of along for the ride because I basically would not force them. Maybe some I did force, persuaded them I in a sense. And so anyways, from there, like I've had to wear all the hats. So like I think I come from a sort of a school of like doing it yourself, making the mistakes, learning from your mistakes, doing it again and again and again. So that's sort of, I hope that answers the question. That was a little long-winded, but
the best way to learn is just by kind of almost like throwing yourselves out to the wolves. Like, okay, I got to figure out what's going to make me sink, what's going to make me swim, what can I do to improve my skills. So I completely understand what that's like. I'm not a movie director, but I am a funeral director, and I have been able to kind of, okay, this is not what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to do. It's a learning experience. It's a whole learning curve. Yeah. And I can't imagine like being in ad agencies, like, what was that experience like? Did you have just like, were there certain people that, said, hey, do this or film this, or did you do the acting part of it or anything like that?
So no, the ad agency that I was working with was, at the time that I joined them, they were like at the top of their game. Like they were doing like the Gatorade commercials with the colored sweat when that stuff came out, so like they were definitely just on fire. And so I just started as an intern. So I would help with sort of like the intern, but in the producers department, right? So I would just like assist the producers, et cetera. But I soon became like an associate producer, and they basically just put me on commercials to produce. And I remember like they were so busy with such like high level stuff that like what I was working on, I started working my career with on Cricket Wireless, like the cell phone company, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I was producing commercials for them, but I had no clue what I was doing. Like my boss was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, you're going to produce this. I said, okay, fine. And then I'm there on set and like pulling the pieces together and just figuring out as I go. And I remember the EP from the production company being like, oh, do you have the talent contracts? I was like, oh yeah, give me a second. And then I would call my business manager and be like, what's a talent contract? Do we need a talent contract? Like that was like my first experience. But like, I know like the pieces that need to come together, like from a producer standpoint, like my mind works very much like production focused. So I figured it out, and it was like kind of fun. It really was. Yeah.
To me, that's a very authentic way of learning too. There's something from a huge difference between being told the correct answer and then failing and then finding out the correct way to find that answer. And to me, that's a genuine, more authentic path to take.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And was there any sort of particular ad though, that you personally are proud of, even to this day, that you're just like, I'm proud of that one. I think I did a decent job at like kind of getting everybody to come together for that one.
Yeah, in terms of like an ad that I produced.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. We did one. This was a long time ago. I actually met my wife on set for this commercial. It was for Supercuts. One. Yeah, and it was we were shooting in Los Angeles, and it was called Rock the Cut, I think it was, long time ago. But anyways, they featured like up and coming musicians, and so it was almost like this music video type, like the band like interview, and the band members get their hair cut, at the Supercuts, and that was kind of cool. It was a big production, a really talented team, director, really talented DP, and you just learn a lot from something like that. And then I mean that's probably like the one that I think I'm most proud of. But soon after that, I transitioned over to directing, so I wasn't producing anymore.
That's cool. So with that being said, let's kind of get into your actual films. We thought that both of them were incredible.
Yeah.
Like, polished. They look great. They just, I don't know, there's just a professionalism about them, and you could really tell that you knew exactly what you were doing.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I mean, being a film buff, I've seen a lot of films. I've seen a lot of, like locally produced stuff, and seen a lot of professional type stuff. And yours just stood out as the better end stuff that I've seen, and kind of, along with the storylines and kind of the uniqueness of the storytelling as well too. Just really appreciate them. I loved them.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
And we want to start off with room tone. Yep. So where did the inspiration for that come from? Like, obviously, stuff behind the camera, and almost this kind of this little mini film was kind of like showing what happens behind the camera and why this is important. But
it kind of felt like an inside joke.
Yeah. Is there something, Yeah. And did you experience something like this where you're just like, oh my God, I just want to throw something at this person so I can get perfect room tone?
Yeah. So I mean, the short film Room Tone is just about a sound guy who's trying to get room tone on set, and I'll just explain. Room tone is sort of, I'm sure you guys know, but I'll just explain it just in case anybody's curious. Room tone is sort of is sort of like the silence that you capture the presence of the room, when you're filming something, so that in background and in post they can use that to like fill in some gaps, so that it's just get the presence, or they can use that for like noise reduction and whatnot. It's and the sound guy, the sound guys are always in charge of getting room tone every time you're filming sound, and it's always this really awkward moment because on a film set it's always go go go, everyone's moving, and so the moment that you sort of stop to try and get room tone, it's like it's just this awkward moment because everyone has to be quiet but they have to stand still. And I've met a lot of really intense sound guys. In fact, I feel like every single sound guy I've met has been intense in a different way. I'll just say that, right? And the story is actually inspired by a sound guy, and he's a friend of mine. He's really cool. Like he's not going to go crazy like that. But I remember we were filming downtown Chicago. It was a documentary thing, and we were outside. So obviously downtown Chicago outside, you're hearing like horns and cars and all that sort of stuff. But whatever, it's fine because that's the background, and it's okay if you hear some of that. But then across the street, someone started like basically cutting metal pipe, and it was like the loudest thing ever. Like there's no way, like we couldn't get any sort of sound like that. So I was like, hey guys, I don't think we're going to be able to make this work. Like this guy's, this construction worker's doing this. I mean, let's just wait till he's done. And the sound guy was like, hold on 1 second. And so he yells at this guy who's like across the street. He's like, hey, and he like does this like little gesture, like, cutting the neck, like stop it, cut it out. And this like like construction guy who's probably twice the size of the sound guy looks at the sound guy and just like kind of nods, okay, and just stopped. And I'm just like, man, for this like little like really intense dude to like have this like intense presence, like there's something there, right? Yeah. And so we would sort of joke around about like, oh, like room tone, like you better not like piss this guy off, And then so, wanting, like my mind very much like likes to take an idea that's based in some sort of reality and just push it into the horror realm. Thought this could be cool, we could have like, like this could be really, really cool. We could all of a sudden have, like a sound guy that basically is just fed up and done with things and then basically takes the next step. I won't ruin anything, but it is a horror film, so I'm sure people can connect the dots, right?
Yeah. And well, we're trying to also not ruin things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next question here.
So who did your practical effects? They really looked amazing.
Yeah, so the practical effects were done by sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. I'm sorry. You just had some really good like kills that were just fun.
Yeah, so the practical effects were done by a gentleman named Kyle Williamson, and he's out of Chicago. And he has worked on features and shorts, and he is just a joy to work with and a super cool guy. And, I had written some sort of creative kills all to do with sound, and I was very much sort of talking to him to be like, well, how do we pull this off? Because there's obviously like what's in the director's mind and what's actually feasibly possible for like the the budget and what we have to work with. So we just did a little bit of back and forth, and he totally came through. He did, and he had to, a lot of those times, like the one thing that I think I learned in the film was just like, these effects take time, and so like a lot of the takes, like whether it was like well, I won't. Anyways, I'm not gonna ruin it, but a lot of the effects too, like we only had like one take on them. Some of the major ones, like the major one at the end, we only had one take to do, and he really came through because we were running out of time.
That's really cool.
So why do you think horror and comedy go so well together?
I think, I think that. I mean, as a filmmaker, I feel like I love bringing people through all the emotions, right? And horror feels like such an intense, just visceral, like very primal emotion that people can feel, right? But so is comedy. And I feel like they blend well together because, life storytelling, it's all about building the tension and releasing the tension back and forth, building it up and releasing it. And I feel like comedy is great to sort of release that tension, right? Whereas horror is great to sort of build it up. So I think, there's a good space in between to make it really fun if you do it right.
Yeah, I would agree. As you're talking, I'm thinking in my head, I love horror comedy because it's a good tension cutter. And then you're literally saying exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, all right, okay. Yeah, we're both on the same wavelength. But that's what I agree, with horror, building up the tension. And then that split second good joke, one-liner, whatever it is, kind of dissipates the tension. But then you can build off of that. And then right behind that, you can throw something extremely scary like a jump scare or something like that. It really allows more depth to a horror movie and more options of what you can do. And in a sense, like take the, watcher on more of like a roller coaster ride, rather than just traditional horror, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And for me, it's like, it's just a different style, right? Like, for example, like, when you're watching like Hereditary, right? Or Midsummer, right? I love those movies. Ari Aster is like an amazing director in the way that he just like, it's like you're in it and you're in it really intensely the entire time. And there's something to be said for that too, But for me personally, what I gravitate towards is like what you were saying, Mark, like you're sort of that those moments where you just like you can build attention and raise it up and just make it a little bit more of a fun experience,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, heck, your favorite movie is a comedy horror.
Yeah. So little about me. My favorite movie is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the second one. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's very much it's a horror comedy. To me it's 70-30 comedy just because of the silliness that's in it. But I mean, to me, the best one-liners in the business. And Bill Moseley, I'm a huge Bill Moseley fan. Can't get really much bigger.
But yeah, so my all-time favorite movie is a horror comedy.
Well, I see your Evil Dead 2 shirt too. It's, you know, right?
Yeah, I've got them all, but
Yeah.
through and through, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I just started a wall in my house. It's a hallway, and I just put up all my artwork, all my posters, all my plaques of Leatherface and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and stuff. So
Love it.
yeah.
Do you feel though, as a director and as a writer, do you feel that horror is easier to write for, rather than any other genre? I don't know. I'm a writer as well, so I do feel, obviously I have a passion for horror, but I also feel like there's more room to expand growth as far as ideas. Like there's always something new, even though it's been done, you can always bridge off of that somehow.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't, in terms of the easiness, I feel like it's a personal thing, right? Like I've met filmmakers that they just can't do horror. That's just not their thing, you know? I feel like a lot of times when I'm writing, like my stuff comes out a little like on the funnier side, like my horror comes out on a little funnier side too. And I can't help it either, you know? I feel like as writers, we all have like something inside us that we need to get out, even subconsciously in a sense, you know? At least that's the way that I work, right? So when I'm writing something, you know, I feel like a lot of the things that I write have common themes that sort of connect. The stories are different, but some of the themes are similar, at least some of the characters that I want to see or I like to see. So in terms of it, you know, I agree with you, you know, having that space to really explore the horror, you know, and really there's a lot to play around with there, you know, even like we were saying, some movies, like, you know, there's ways to do it the same but different, right? You know, you think of like The Ring and you think of Smile, and then you think, well, break it down. I mean, they're very, you know, it's like the same type of movie, just the different frameworks, I guess, or same framework, different movie, you know. There's something to be said there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to go on to your next film, Getaway. Personally, this one was like, both of them are great, but this one's the favorite.
Yeah.
Like this is the one, and that just, it's so good. But where did your vision for this particular story come from? It's just got such a unique perspective on things, and just the setting overall, just really pretty too.
Yeah. I want to, so twofold, right? I think I was watching something, a show that had there was a moment like where someone was watching a screen and it felt like they were going to go in the direction that Getaway did, and it didn't. And I was just like, oh wait, that could be kind of cool. But that's a little hard to explain when you haven't seen it. What I will say though is the idea of, you know, watching, you know, every one of us have watched a horror movie or a movie with some sort of tension, and you're just like, why are they going down that scary hallway, or like, why are they splitting up right now? Like you want to sort of reach in and talk to them, right? That's all I'll say. I mean, you know, like, so I felt like it's something that people could relate to and sort of break a certain wall. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
That's such a good way of describing it without actually giving away the plot thing. So that was perfect.
Could you, or would you ever want to see Getaway turned into a feature, like full-length film?
Yeah. So we've actually written a feature-length screenplay for it. And it's currently sort of in the process of getting optioned right now. So fingers crossed, maybe in a few years you'll see a feature of Getaway. Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing that I know I think you said too. It just was like, I was like, there's more meat on the bone here. Like there's more that you can go into this. You know, you left it open enough that like I totally was hoping you would say what you said. Because in itself, the short film is great. But in its entirety, just left alone, it's still great. But it is one of those ones, even compared to more like with your other one, that's more of like a self-contained short film. Yeah. But then with Getaway, there's more story that could be told. And so I like that. And I liked a lot of the camera work you did too, with like the mounting on the front of the car and showing. It wasn't Was it your traditional like front kind of facing car camera shot? You know, a lot of them, they're more mounted in and you're getting more of a closer, you know, dialogue kind of shot or whatever. But like that was one of the ones where I'm like, I really like that because it's a shot that you've seen before, but it's a shot from an angle that you haven't really seen before. It almost seemed like you mounted it 3/4 of the way up on the hood of the car when that's not really a spot or an angle that I've seen all that much. I really like that.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, the director of photography, Ryan French, here out of Los Angeles, he's really, really talented. And I remember him having the idea for that shot. I thought it looked great. And I was also freaking out because we had one camera and it was mounted on this car. And I was like, shit, if this thing falls off, we're screwed. But that didn't give us the most problems. The most problems we had that old car, the old Ford. And that thing wouldn't start a few times. We had some troubles with that, but we got there. Yeah.
Yeah. To kind of piggyback off that, like, I don't know, just like when I first saw the film, when I was screening all the different movies, you know, and, you know, at some point you're just like, oh my God, I just want there to be a really good one that captures my attention. And this was the one. Mm-hmm. This was like, yes, everything to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I swear to God, if this doesn't turn into an actual feature film, I'm going to be sad. Because it's just like, I know it's only 15 minutes long, or at least somewhere in that time frame, but it felt like I just sat down and I watched an entire film. Like, it's not long. It had enough story to it where it's like, oh my God, this could be a full movie.
Yeah.
It's great. It's wonderful. Yeah, so I'm happy for you. I really, really hope this gets made.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
It also sounds like that particular film, and as well as Room Tone, have been doing really well in the film circuits. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Getaway itself, I think, was accepted to 50 festivals, at least, probably a few more. And like we've won 33 awards for Getaway, so that one's been doing pretty well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Room Tone has also got accepted, I think, to 40 festivals or so. It's won a few awards as well. So, you know, Room Tone for me is just kind of like a silly, fun thing that sort of, you know, is, you know, it was more, you know, like when I do short films, it's like almost an opportunity to like practice certain things, right? And like those blood effects inside, I'd never worked with any of those things, any of blood effects before, like practical. And so I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to do so. But yeah, they both have, I've been very, very fortunate. They've both done well on the circuit, which was great because you really get a chance to go out there and meet other people and other filmmakers. And I don't know, it's the film community and the festival circuit's really, really supportive, which is great.
Awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And, what was like, so far with all the film festivals that you've been able to go to, which one felt like the coolest or the most rewarding, or it got the reactions you wanted? You know what I mean?
That's interesting. There's probably a few, right? That because it's so funny because it really depends on like the night and the crowd, right? Like we've had some festivals where like it's had such a great reaction, and other festivals where the crowd's just doesn't sound as into it, but at the end they'll come and like talk to you. So it really just depends on the vibe in the room. I would say the one festival that really stood out for me, and probably even for a more personal reason, was Fantasia in Montreal. I'm from Montreal. My family was all there at the screening. So it was like a really cool homecoming, and to have, you know, Getaway play at such a great genre festival, you know, was I mean that you. It's a very fond memory, one that is very important to me. It felt like, you know, like my work is sort of amounted to this cool achievement, you know.
So random question of thought, because it's where I used to live, but did it get accepted or participate in South by Southwest at all?
No, it didn't. We submitted, but it wasn't accepted. So
yeah. I got you. I don't know. And the reason why I was asking that is because I don't know how many short films they do. Everything that I remember there is feature, full length. I don't remember seeing short films there, but it doesn't mean there aren't. But
yeah, I think they do have short film blocks, but a lot of the bigger festivals like that don't screen a ton, you know. And some of it's just, you know, the festival circuit's kind of tricky, right? Like because, you know, I mean, and I'm just sort of guessing based on other festivals, but I'm sure South by is probably getting like, you know, at least 5,000 submissions. And, you know, when they'll probably choose like maybe, I don't know how many shorts Some festivals, like I know Sundance only chooses like 60 shorts out of like, they have even more submissions. So it's like, it really, it's not only, it has to do with quality, yes, but it also has to do with how it fits within a block and what the programmers think. I mean, ultimately, like every programmer comes in with a certain bias and what they're looking for and what they're looking to build. Whether your film works within the whole of it, speaking of, right, when you were saying sort of South by in Austin, right? Room Tone premiered at Fantastic Fest in Austin.
Okay.
And that was great. We played in front of a movie by the directing trio RKSS, which they're super cool. But the movie's called We Are Zombies, and it's just like the type of comedic style worked really well. And so like we were programmed, and it was just like, because we played in front of that movie, it was like, oh, Room Tone would feel right because this has a very similar comedic tone and style, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Like, oh, we've got this feature in, let's find a short that feels like that. Boom, Room Tone, done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know. So.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So where currently can we see or watch your films?
So Getaway's not public right now. And because of the option and the development into the feature, there really isn't a way to see it other than maybe if it comes to a festival near you. That being said, Room Tone will be having an online release this November on Alter. So
Awesome. Have you ever, I don't know if Shudder does this, but have you ever thought of like putting them out there on Shudder? I don't know if they do anything like shorts or anything like that, but that'd be really cool.
That would be cool. Yeah. I mean, a lot of that stuff is just really just knowing the right people that are looking for the things and it fitting, I mean, hey, if anybody hears of an opportunity, I'm down, to talk.
Because Room Tone also, so before I watched your film, I was kind of on this kick of like, you remember the Adult Swim, like the infomercials that are just kind of silly. Room Tone feels like it would fit there.
Yeah.
Fever dream thing that I'm just gonna find late at night, and it's just gonna pop up on Adult Swim at some point. And I don't even know if Adult Swim really exists much anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if it does,
because I think Cartoon Network kind of RIP'd at
fell by the wayside. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I love that, and to me, I feel like I would love to see more sort of shorts content being programmed at like on Shudder, or like I know Hulu used to do Huluween or something, right? But I don't know if they're doing that anymore. But I know they have certain shorts. But like I feel like you don't know. I don't know how it's how they find those films, right? So
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's cool. Outside of the one that hopefully is going to be made into a feature film, do you have any other projects or anything like that coming up that you'd like to promote or that you want people to kind of be on the lookout for?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a few shorts sort of in development, and they're both horrors. One, I won't go into details, but yeah. Anyways, one of them is a short, the other one's sort of a pilot. Those are just in that sort of like the writing stages. The biggest project I have coming up would be my first feature that I'm planning to shoot in February. It's called Back for the Holidays. It's a holiday film. I come from an Italian family, so it sort of takes place at Italian Christmas Eve, where their dead relatives come back to life and start killing people. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they're not quite zombies. They're in the flesh, but one moment they seem like they're kind of their old selves, and you say something wrong, and then they turn into crazy monsters that just want to rip your head off. So it's I think it's got some comedic vibes to it too, and I was just really excited to sort of dig into like a full feature.
Oh, that's cool. We're so happy for you. I know we do have one question that we ask pretty much all of our guests.
What is your favorite horror movie?
Okay, so there's a lot, right? But I think, let me just think. One comes to mind sort of recently that I've really enjoyed, and I want to give a shout out to Barbarian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Because I feel like they did so many things right, and it was fresh and interesting, and the payoff at the end was just phenomenal too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I kind of was curious about this, and it's more to kind of get to know you as well too. But is this now your career path, or is this still more of a hobby and like a second type thing?
So
Yeah.
I mean, so I still direct commercials for my like bread and butter, right? So that's in the advertising world. This is sort of like what I'm developing on the side. One day it would be amazing to like, I mean, that's my dream really, to be a full-time sort of feature director. But you have to build up to that, and that doesn't happen overnight. So I'm on the journey. I'm on the path.
Yep, absolutely. And honestly, you're on a good path. Your name is definitely one I'm going to be looking for, because I see so much potential. I'm a nobody, but still I see so much potential, and I would love to see where you take this. And I just hope the best for you in your future. I just hope you just keep going out there and just making everything, because you have a fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah. And for me, with Room Tone, it's I don't speak on that one as much because that's more of like a self-contained short film. But going back to Getaway, like I view Getaway as like an in-between or a stepping stone to like something that could be greater. Mm-hmm. Is like I see the potential in it, and I see how you could grow from that to something else. And I really could see that as like a timeline, as a stepping stone or a point to where it's just like the middle, or it's the beginning to something else that, could be bigger, better, and greater. And just to me, I see the potential in it, and the potential in you from what I saw and everything. And it's I really think that keeping at it, and the potential is definitely there. Now whether the cards align, who knows? But yeah, I definitely could see Getaway being that like kind of it's what kind of got attention, and it's what kind of got me really doing some things and getting going, and then it ends up being your stepping stone or your springboard. I could see that.
Thank you. I mean, thank you guys. I'm so grateful for those comments. As a filmmaker, sometimes you feel like you're in the little bubble. Just to hear, have this dialogue, I think is very uplifting. So I appreciate your words.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Because the way my husband kind of described the short film, for as much as I will give shit to smile.
Yeah.
The short film that it's based off of, I can see why it got as big as it.
Yeah.
And that's almost where I kind of see you eventually going. Like, I'm hoping so. Like, this is just your jumping point. Get there. Reach for the stars.
I mean, if there's one thing that I know about myself is that I won't stop making things, right? And I feel like everything I make, I learn from, and I'm I just feel empowered to just keep on doing. And hopefully this will just be the next step, and features will be on my radar soon.
Absolutely. And if you ever need to kill off a podcast, or I always envisioned like being on a podcast and talking to a guest like we are with you, and we're filming it from this perspective, and the killer that's in the movie is kind of behind you, and then that's a perfect kill scene, and then you get the reaction of us in the small screen on the side. I'm always like, that'd be an awesome little kill scene.
Well, I mean, I think it's so cool to like, some of these Screen Life films too that are coming out, right? Just the idea of like looking through the screen and just like being able to see something, but being powerless to really to do anything on the other end. I think there's something to that barrier, connected but not at the same time.
Yeah, yep. Unfriended, those crazy kills. Those were fun. Yeah. So thank you again so much for being with us and just taking the time just to talk to us. We really do appreciate you.
Oh, are you kidding? Yeah. I mean, I love both your passions. It comes through, and let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say, let's keep in contact. If you have new projects that, you want, for us to show or, talk about or anything like that, just keep us in the loop, keep feeding us. Absolutely. That's another reason why we do, because, we plan on growing this. We're always going to keep it Midwestern based. Mm-hmm. That's always been our goal. And with you, the ties to Chicago, even though they're in LA now, but with your Chicago ties, I mean, it fits right in with that. We're always trying to just build and bring people and
use our exposure if we can to build things up. And I'm always going around doing the conventions and stuff. I'm hopefully going to get more involved with that and some of the bigger ones like Days of the Dead. So yeah, I'm going to keep plugging away at stuff like that.
And this is all about growing our community and just making sure that a lot of people understand that we're a community-based like horror family, if that makes sense. Like, we're just there to share our passions. We're there to uplift other people that are trying to also share their passion in horror. Because one of the things that I will always say for horror is that I think it's a very necessary thing for us to have, because we already have the real scary stuff going on out there. This is our fantasy. This is our escape. This is our ability to cope with the horrors on the outside world or that we deal with every day. So thank you for everything that you are doing to portray these stories so that way we can still have that escape, but we can also have that entertainment quality. Because those were both really entertaining films.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So Ivy, you what films do you like? What kind of horror films are your favorites?
So I'm a simple person. I'm a simple lady. My favorite one that actually inspired me to become a funeral director is Pet Sematary. I don't think I could watch it now.
She loves the Gage scene.
I don't think I can watch it now because of that. But it is one of the things that inspired me to do what I am doing now currently. But other than that, other stuff I like, I got Jason over here in the corner. He's a big member of our family. He was at our wedding. He's important to us. So anything with like gore's funny, it's silly, that's my shtick. I love that stuff. And niche stuff like Frankenhooker and like Return of the Living Dead, Brain Damage or Basket Case, like those things are just silly and I like those. And my dream is to someday do something just as silly, maybe in the future whenever I get the chance to do any of that.
And for me, my start is tied back to my best friend, the one that passed away, Blake, because when we were just like 13 years old, we'd go to the video store every weekend and just get like some of the most insanely weird, stupid stuff that just is ridiculous because we were spoiled and had a really legit video store. And so like, we were watching everything from mainstream, obviously Evil Dead. I'm wearing it part for him. So that was his all-time favorite movie. Evil Dead was his franchise. I was always Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think Leatherface as a character in the first and second and third one is one of the greatest characters. I just love everything about it. But I watched all sorts of different things. And like, there's even, like we always talk about, there's even pink flamingos splashed in there. There's, like just in movies like Hell Roller that people haven't learned about, there was this guy in a wheelchair and he has a pocket knife. To everything from Castle Freak, Reanimator. 80s is my spot. Like that's my sweet spot. I'm an 80s baby. 80s films, like even People Under the Stairs, which I think is just like a top-notch film, definitely at that. But yeah, I started out just watching those movies, because it was just like, it just like pulled me in and I've seen so many different kinds that now it's just become like almost my personality, because I can be very serious, I can be very stern, but then I can be just off the wall, ridiculous, say some stuff that you wouldn't expect. And I think that's like, just because I've seen, so many films to where it kind of is both of those. So, yeah.
So another question, if I may, what do you want to see more of in the horror world? Like maybe it's a type of movie or sort of something that you feel like is like that. How do I put this? That it's like it's almost like an itch that hasn't been scratched, or something that you feel you want to see more of, or do you feel like we're pretty good?
I'll say something real quick. So I mean, it half answers what you're gonna answer, but I know she's gonna agree to this. For both of us, a big thing is originality.
Yes.
Like we're tired of the rehash bullshit. It's like it's a money grab most of the time. It's just not original. For us, like we like original concepts, original artistic type things. I know we both respect the artistic side of films. You know, we like when someone goes out on a limb. We may not even like the film, but I know both of us will respect it if that person went out on a limb. But for me, on my spin of it is, for me, it's all about telling a story and having, you know, your great character at the point of that. But then I want a good build up and a good backstory for understanding that character. And then you can kind of go anywhere in between. But for me, I've got to have good substance. And if it's leading up to like a character that can become almost, you know, iconic, back to the 80s where a lot of those iconic characters were, to me, that's the greatest part of like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. It's that journey along to find these little bits and pieces per different movies for uncovering what that character is about or his background and all that. To me, if you have that in it, like that's missing from nowadays. Like, name me a new icon that has a good backstory, good lead up to, and is not just told in one film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But name me in the 80s and 90s. You can. You can go back to Candyman. You can go Nightmare on Elm Street. You can go Friday the 13th. You know, you can even go Scream, which is probably the most recent one. But then you can't really, because each individual film is just a reveal of that one character. So it's an iconic figure, as in like the Scream mask, but it's not an iconic character because it's the switcheroo and the, you know, woo, we're going to throw you this way and go that way. But to me, that's what I'm looking for, because I haven't found that in years.
Yeah, well said.
Maybe Victor Crowley and Hatchet. Hatchet does some of that, but it's still kind of quirky and weird. But the whole Danielle Harris not in the first one, she's in the second one thing kind of throws me off a little bit, because I love Danielle Harris.
I'd say for me, as far as like a horror movie that needs to be like, I want more of this to be realized. For me would be like, I want to see more like dirty, nasty, filthy shit. Like grimy stuff. Like I'm talking, I want the street trashes back. I want the nasty trauma films back. I just want a puffy, nasty movie.
The wall gore.
Yeah, like I know we got the substance and I haven't had the chance to see it yet.
Yeah, we're excited for that one.
But I am so excited for that. And I'm not saying like it has to be all body horror, but you also have things like Terror Vision. And you had you know, I'll throw out Basket Case again with a strange creature. We saw that was trying to be done with Malignant. God bless Malignant. So ridiculous and beautiful.
It is.
You have different thoughts about it.
Yeah.
Fucking love that film. And for all the wrong reasons, I think, but I liked it.
It needs to be called Back Growth.
It's beautiful. It's Basket Case 2.0, 2020.
It's back growth. It's just what it needs to be called, back growth.
I would love to see a return to that style where it doesn't take itself too seriously, where the whole movie is camp. I just want all camp. But also you have that dread in some parts, so kind of like Texas Chainsaw 2, where it's got that good mix between the two of funny and, ew, that's really gross. I don't want to see that, but I can't look away kind of thing, you know? So that's what I think is missing now, is just kind of the originality of that. Oh, Society. Society's another good example from the 80s. That one's, the shunting scene is bizarre. But
I would say Dead Alive, too.
Oh, God.
Very much has that over-the-top gore. That, you know, it has slapstick, stupid stuff.
Exactly.
You know,
things like that. There just needs to be a call to that again. And I think that is fun.
So basically you need someone to take over Trauma again and like, you know, kind of redo some stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
makes sense.
Do something new. Do something different. But yeah, definitely originality, I think, is just the biggest thing. Just come up with something new. Even if you got like, so for example, for like the new Hellraiser that came out, I think it's a great setup. Why did it have to be a Cenobite? Why did it have to be the same Cenobite? Why have been something kind of like the comic books where it's a standalone thing? You could bring the Cenobites back, but it doesn't have to be Pinhead.
Yeah.
Yes, he's an iconic property, but you could have somebody else. You could create a whole new weird looking creature. You know what I mean? Reimagine it. Do something different. But I know a lot of people don't like to go out on a limb. when it comes to something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, now you got us going. Now you open the can.
Yeah.
To kind of go back to what I was saying, because what I'm looking for is a fine line. So, I told you that I'm looking for the character and the build up and all that sort of stuff. And there is kind of that, but it's been in a rehash value. Like, for example, the new Halloweens that come out. It's like we're now up to 5 different storylines. I don't know if you followed or tallied, but now the whole Halloween universe has 5 separate different storylines. And, the fact that they're naming Halloween, so there's 2 of them. So there's Halloween in the beginning, Halloween the remakes. So it's like we didn't even change the name. Same thing with you have, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then you have Leatherface, which is number 3, and then you have Leatherface, which is the turd that Steven Dorff's in that was made in 2017. It's like we're so unoriginal, we're not even naming them different film names, literally calling it Leatherface, which number 3 is sacred to me because that's the last one that was worth a shit in my favorite franchise. And then you bastardize the name of it by using it again. Like it makes me so mad. And then not to mention that storyline. I made myself watch it again just like 2 days ago because I remember the storyline and I'm like, was it really that terrible? And I watched it again and yes, it is.
Yeah, I hate when that happens when you taking remakes or whatnot, just taking a franchise off the ground. It's kind of sad.
So, I mean, to me, it's like the unoriginality that is the antithesis of that. It's just, let's get it out there for a money grab. And what it's done is ruined my favorite franchise. I mean, I watch them, but I just watch them because I nitpick the story because I'm so anal about it that I'm like, why are you calling, Leatherface Jed? He's always been Bubba, and it's like, and then I'm like, did I miss in 1 or 2 or 3 when he was called Jed? I may have, but then it's like, well, why are we calling him Jed now? And then it's like we spin the story and I'm like, that's not how the story goes. So it's a fine line because there's so much of that rehash just garbage that's a cash grab. And to me, that plays into their, the not originality anymore.
I mean, when you have like a first movie or like even just a series that does so well, right? It's because it sort of explores the sort of the entirety of the story and the character, right? And so like when you go and try to do like just remakes or just hash it back, you're essentially doing a lot of the same thing that's already been explored. So it's just not as good. You don't get that same arc. Going back to the question that you asked me about directors too, another director I love is James Cameron, right? And just, you think of like the way of the way that he took like the original idea from Alien to Aliens, you know what I'm saying? Like you took sort of like this sort of slow burn, sort of, more like horror thing to like this action horror. And that in my mind is the refresh that it needed, as well as, like Terminator 1 or Terminator 2. Oh, let's take the bad guy and turn him into the good guy. It's just, like things like that to like just really refresh, make it interesting, I haven't seen the new Joker one, but I like the idea that they just sort of took it into like this musical direction. Now, I don't know if it's good. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but
no, it's on my list. I haven't seen it, but I'm curious too because I mean the first Joker. I mean that was just a top-notch film all the way around.
Mm-hmm. Every that one was amazing. Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, me too. So, I guess hell, we could go on and
we could
just like gab and babble for forever. So.
But in all seriousness, if you do ever want to do a screening or film screening or anything like that you would like for us to help host, we'd be more than happy to do that because I think that would be really cool to have you. And even if you couldn't come in person, just to show one of your films to just show this to other people that need to see it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, let's keep in touch, right? Like we'll check in every once in a while. If I got something to share, I'll share it. You guys will be like pre-screeners. So I'll get your thoughts. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Thank you again so much. We cannot thank you enough for your time and just being able to pick your brain on everything that you know. And yeah, it's just awesome having you with us.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right. Well, with that being said, look out for each other and good night, cellar dwellers.
Bye.
Bye.